Mexican going to an art school, even though they tell you only 7% make it.
Around our area, it is 99% black, 96% below the poverty line.
I feel like I'm at a disadvantage, but I'm gonna work. Always gonna work.
For the first time, I felt comfortable in my own skin.
This last kid right here, I'm like, how do you know how to do that?
Yeah, it's a mystery. It's an extravaganza mystery.
Welcome to Cordkillers, the show about watching the stuff you love when you want, where you want, however you want. I'm Tom Merritt.
Hey, I'm Brian Brushwood, and more importantly, that's a new Netflix original called what, Bryce?
It's a new Netflix documentary called Giving Voice. It is kind of it's a documentary. It's not quite a reality show. It follows these students.
Okay. It looks like it's kind of like a Reese's peanut butter cup of documentary, only secretly on the inside. It's definitely a reality competition TV show.
Well, there's definitely it's about these.
There's winners and losers and backstories and competition and performances and people are judged.
The competition that they're doing is a real competition, the August Wilson monologue competition, and this documents some of the students doing this. It's a monologue and performance competition, and the finals of that are held on Broadway. So it's a big deal. And it looks like a big emotional thing.
Okay, so the competition predates this documentary.
Exactly, yes.
And happens whether there's cameras around
Right,
or not.
it's not Top Chef.
That's a clever way of doing it, Brian.
I don't know.
Like, hey,
Seems to me like
didn't set up the...
Seems to me like the masks those singers wear predates the show as well.
That's coming to Netflix December 11th.
Most importantly, we are joined this week by Merrill Barr. Merrill, where are you? Are you alive?
I'm alive, barely. Bad food poisoning this morning, almost didn't make it, but I just want to apologize to the audience and say I'm sorry I missed the Quibi funeral. That's my bad. But I also want to say
You were just too broken up. I understand.
I know. And I'm honored to be in the presence of a true Hearthstone legend that is Brian Brushwood.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Yeah.
You made legend, what, 6 hours this weekend?
Yeah, no. It was like my first true day off. I definitely played 6 hours straight of Hearthstone and it was fun.
On stream.
All right. Well, one of the main reasons we have Merrill here is the glass window for theaters has been broken. Let's talk about it in our primary target. We got two different big stories here. We're going to connect them together. We'll talk about the new deal that Universal is striking with other theater chains beyond AMC. But first, Wonder Woman 1984 is going to premiere on HBO Max and in theaters on the same day, Christmas Day, December 25th. It will disappear from HBO Max, though, 31 days later. So starting December 25th, you have 31 days to watch it. From days 32 through 60, it will be a theater exclusive. So after the 31 days, you'll only be able to see it in theaters for a further 28 days. And then it will go to paid video on demand, where you either rent or buy it after 60 days. None of these numbers, you may have noticed, include a 90. There is no 90-day window on this. This is a one-off. It is being described as a one-off invented just for Wonder Woman 1984. If you're someone who's like, I don't live in HBO Max land, Wonder Woman 1984 will release in theaters December 16th in most parts of the world that don't have access to HBO Max. Why are they doing this? Well, theaters are closed in New York and Los Angeles, the two biggest markets in the United States, as well as in a bunch of other markets in the U.S. About half of U.S. theaters are open right now. This is different than when Tenet ran. 70% of U.S. theaters were open back then, and Tenet made $50 million. Now, granted, Wonder Woman would make more than Tenet, but that was not an inspiring number. So that goes in to the calculus. Also, why not wait? Well, they filmed it in 2018, so they don't want to keep pushing it off for too long or it might get stale. It'll promote awareness of HBO Max, not just for adding new subscribers, but also to get people who have existing HBO subscriptions to realize that they have access to HBO Max, which has been an issue for them. And theaters are a little more understanding than they were back in May. Adam Aaron from AMC has been in active and deep dialogue with Warner Brothers, called it atypical circumstances that call for atypical economic relationships. And there's rumors that Warner is letting HBO or is letting theaters take a larger cut of the ticket sales. So let's talk a little bit about a Wonder Woman, and then I want to talk about these new windowing deals that Universal struck.
First and most importantly, Tom, do I get to say called it if I've called like a billion wrong things, but this one happened to be right among all the wrong things that I called?
Yeah, you can. That's called the stop clock rule. I mean, you can take absolutely.
Okay, all right. Taking full on credit for this. Somewhere is footage of me saying, you know what? I think Wonder Woman might be the first major hit day and date movie to come out. Also, I'll vouch for the HBO to HBO Max problem because I finally made it onto HBO Max because I got it for free because I have AT&T as an internet provider. Haven't yet made it to the point where I bothered to cancel my old HBO subscription, so I'm the idiot paying twice for HBO or paying it all for it. So like that inertia problem is a real problem. And so of everybody you're going to harvest into the HBO Max environment, it seems like people who can move for free, you would think would be a slam dunk and you could rely on them, but you cannot. You have to push them kicking and screaming, even though they're going to move essentially for free over to the new service. So I think all told, it's a sensible decision. I think that they're right to focus on the shelf life. I think they're right to realize that there's an upside for it's. Is it entirely Warner Brothers owned HBO Max or partially or? Yeah, no, it's AT&T owns HBO Max, which is part of the Warner Media subsidiary of AT&T. Okay, so in family, getting people in there. I mean, I got to tell you, it doesn't have the prestige that you would hope for a major blockbuster, but all the numbers line up. I think it's a smart decision. I think that it's going to pay dividends in the long term for them.
I feel like there was no choice here. We're at the point where the fact that this thing has been delayed 3 times now at this point. So it would have been a 4th delay at this if they had pushed again. That's too much. It reaches a point where you base your whole marketing strategy around a date, and you can only move that date so many times because it's not just a matter of what they shot getting stale. It's that many more marketing dollars have to get fed into it because you marketed for a certain date, you pushed. You marketed for that date, you pushed. You marketed for that date, you pushed. That's just adding up on the marketing dollars.
Oh, keep in mind also, we're knocking on the door of they get a coupon to say whoopsie doodle coronavirus. For example, all of the posters that I've seen for Wonder Woman 84 say only in theaters. You only get to back out of that kind of claim once. And in a world where just in the last 2 weeks, we've gotten 3 major announcements about very effective vaccines and effective treatments for all that, like the window of the whoopsie doodle coronavirus excuse is also closing. So it seems like now's a good time to go ahead and bank that.
And the thing that Tom said, where the theaters will get a bigger chunk of the ticket sale, that's the other factor here. I think that was the real selling point for the theaters, which is typically the way this works is on week 1 is when the theaters make the least amount of money on a blockbuster because they're taking about 10% of the ticket sale where the studio is getting 90%. And then each week that goes down and down and down until, you get to week 10, like essentially week 10 when it's 90-10 the other way. In this case, the 90% of week 1 is the HBO Max subscription that they're hoping to boost. And thus it allows so when it hits, so the theaters go, all right, we'll take a bigger chunk of whatever we can get. So, I mean, that is helpful to them. And I think that the theaters knew this is a case where they put up a fight for Tenet. They put all their chips on Tenet and lost. They now know they don't have the leverage that they had over the summer. So yeah, it's a bigger release than Tenet, but you're out of chips. So it's, this is the best deal you're going to get. Take it, because the alternative is we're just going to skip theaters. So either take this or take nothing.
Yeah, and they're going to lose money on Wonder Woman 1984. That is an intentional decision on the part of Warner. They know that. They just realize that keep pushing movies. The schedule is going to get crowded. It's going to get stacked. Like you said, there's marketing dollars that get wasted if you keep pushing it. So why not be the only movie out on December 25th, right?
Right.
I mean, there will be other movies out, but you will dominate the conversation. That'll be huge for HBO Max. HBO Max is recurring revenue. So if you get people to understand the value of it and spread the word, and you can increase subscriptions, that won't bring in money immediately, but it'll bring in money for a longer time. It's an example you don't see from companies too often, where they're valuing the long-term and business principles over the short-term gain. And you have to have a situation like COVID to make that happen, because they know that they're probably not going to give up money per day once theaters are back in business, right? They have plenty of movies to fill the schedule. So I think that's the other thing here, is they can afford to spend a blockbuster because they're going to have no shortage of, it's not like they're going to run out of movies. They've almost got too many movies for the schedule.
Before we move on to the next point, there's two minor codas to this. Number one, most people, I don't think, realize what a huge day Christmas is for movie releases. I didn't realize until I worked at a movie theater. I didn't know that once you've opened all the presents, there's not really much to do with the rest of the day, and everybody has the same thought at the same time. I don't know, let's go to the movies. So in this case, where you can't actually go to the movies, instead, second thought, think about how many people are opening up televisions, new services, new boxes, new whatevers, and how many people already have AT&T as a service, so they already have HBO Max free. And it's like the one thing, like, get ready for a marketing blitz, the likes of which you've not ever seen, where it's just like, after you've opened the presents, first place you need to go is to sign, like, you're going to have to sign into all of the services all over again. Might as well start with HBO Max. Might as well, take a break, watch Wonder Woman, and then get around or don't get around to installing all the other services.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing is, look, I grew up in Long Island, big Jewish community. Christmas Day is a huge movie day because a lot of those families don't celebrate Christmas. So it's a huge go to the movie day. Theaters packed to the brim. That was the thing my entire life.
Yep.
So like the whole idea of putting out the release on Christmas Day is, I think also that is the other. I think the date really matters. It sounds like they're just dropping this on a Tuesday, right? They didn't just say, all right, guys, we're gonna take Wonder Woman HBO Max. It's gonna be coming out December 17th. No, they're like, if we're going to do this, we either do it all the way or we don't do it. And so Christmas Day is when this thing is coming out. And I think that was the smart play.
Yeah, this is not a prestige play outside of the fact that they're going to be able to this is all about the announcement the following week of this many households, this many eyeballs, biggest single over-the-top service release of all time. Totally expect that.
The only thing I think could be a 1-2 whammy, if I don't know where they're at on the post on it, but if the Snyder Cut is ready to go on the 1st, if they did Wonder Woman on Christmas and then the Snyder Cut New Year's Day, that would be an amazing 1-2 punch for them.
That'd be a hell of a news cycle for sure.
Yeah.
A way to dominate some headlines for a while. Okay. This does not change windowing. As AMC said, this is atypical circumstance calling for an atypical relationship. This is, hey, we don't think the major thing keeping people out of our theaters is HBO Max. We think it's the virus. So we're more likely to get somebody come into the theater because they just want to get out of the house. And having Wonder Woman 1984 in the theater would be a great thing for them to make an excuse to spend their money on, versus the typical thing of like, yeah, but if it's available on HBO Max, they won't want to come to the theater. They'll watch it at home. That's atypical. What's not atypical is that the window has absolutely shrunk, and Universal has shrunk it. We're now just waiting for all the rest of the details to fall in. Universal has struck a deal with Cinemark as well as Canada's Cineplex that is similar to the one it reached with AMC theaters earlier this year, and in fact changes the AMC theater one as well. So they're guaranteeing that all movies will have a 17-day exclusive window. But unlike the AMC deal, which was case by case, they have written into the Cinemark deal, and now this applies to the AMC deal, that if a movie makes $50 million or more in its opening weekend, they will extend that 17 days to a 31-day window. So in other words, we'll give it a 17-day window. If the movie tanks, great. You can keep it if you want or not. If it's making money, though, will keep it in theaters for 31 days. That makes sense for Universal. It makes sense for the theaters. The AMC and Cinemark also get a cut of video on demand revenue. We knew that was true for AMC. It's going to be true for Cinemark as well. Now, remember, these are options. A movie can still go full 90-day window. In fact, we expect a lot of blockbusters to do that once we're back to normal. If both parties agree that that's better for everyone, that's what's going to happen. When a movie goes to video on demand, the theaters can choose to keep exhibiting it. It's not the 90-day window ends, it leaves the theaters and it goes to video on demand anymore. We're now going to have crossover where there will still be, and this has happened before, but just not very often. And we'll see whether it happens a lot in this new deal, but it will still be possible for, let's say at the end of the 31 days, it goes to video on demand for a theater to go like, actually, we're still getting people coming in, but let's keep it for a few more weeks.
Do you think this is a case where this is a long overdue correction and that we had kind of an artificially propped up market for a long time? And like what this looks like to me are two parties that had been behaving irrationally for many years in an adversarial relationship, finally realizing, oh, wait, what we need is the prestige of a theatrical release, and what you need is good movies to be in your theater. So much of this sounds like sensible policy just spoken out loud. and it's weird that it took a global pandemic to bring these two parties to this moment.
The thing I think this affects is not so much the big blockbusters, because essentially what this deal says, those will remain unaffected. In Universal, so staying with Universal as the example, Fast and Furious is going to make over $50 million opening weekend. That's a guarantee. Also, it doesn't get into what qualifies as opening weekend. Is it just the Friday to Sunday? Is it the Thursday previews? Count that as well? That's something we don't know yet. But either way, Fast and Furious will make over $50 million its opening weekend for sure, regardless.
Hot takes.
What this really will help are all those smaller movies that were tied to that 9-day window, and thus we're losing momentum, because let's say they would come out in theaters, they would bomb, and then they would kind of vanish for a year, 2 years until they landed on streaming, and then everyone, oh my God, that's a great movie. Or especially for comedies, this would change a lot of the thinking into a lot of theaters and probably go, fine, just take that one, make that one go away. Send that one to VOD. We'll happily lose that so we can add another screen for Fast and the Furious. We'd rather just have that. This will give them the ability to add more screens to the movies they do have that they actually want, and not be, not tie up a screen with a movie they don't care about anyway.
Tom, I really dig the AMC and Cinemark getting a cut of the VOD revenue, because it sort of puts them in the position of showmen. Like, they are simultaneously both collecting tickets but also acting as promoter to legitimize these releases when they go to the home markets.
Oh yeah, expect the commercials before the movies to include like, love this movie? You can own it. Join the AMC Video on Demand service and buy all the movies we have at a discount with your AMC theater membership. Like, I fully expect them to just be hammering away on that.
Yeah.
Because they're not only going to get a cut of the general revenue from Universal, they're also going to keep an extra cut if they're selling it through their own store. I think you're right. I think that's a great early adopter move for Universal. They won't be able to offer that to everybody and have it make sense. But it was a smart way to be like, let's get somebody to sign on the bottom line first. Because once you get AMC and Cinemark, the only thing left is Regal.
The only thing left is to bully everybody else. That's the only thing left to do.
You've got most of the theaters then. Regal is the only other major number of theaters, and they're looking at insolvency in the United Kingdom. So anything Universal does will probably be accepted by Regal at some point. Then it's sweeping up the smaller ones. My guess is you'll probably see a smaller one like an Alamo Drafthouse sign up to get the video on demand cut first. And then Universal shut the doors on it after a couple of those and say, sorry, everybody else, you're now on the windowing terms without the cut.
Yeah, this is the perpetual optimist in me, is that what I'm hopeful is out of this very miserable situation for theaters, it will force them to get creative and experimental with things, because essentially they'll have to figure out what else besides the movie will get people to go to the movies? And Alamo Drafthouse, I think we've seen over the last 10, 20 years, has figured out part of that story, a fine dining experience, some wine and spirits, that kind of thing. I would love to see more promotional kind of things. I don't know exactly what that's going to look like, but that's the whole point of experimentation.
I mean, I think tying back to the idea of not having a screen tied up, I think it would also change what each, you have these. So it's like maybe you have, you have something. So like the idea of a multiplex. One couple theaters are going to be the Limax, right?
Mhm.
A couple theaters are going to be a standard theater. Some of the theaters, maybe we rip the seats out and turn this into a very much a sit down dining experience with a movie, maybe a show. One of the theaters becomes a more experimental venue for live shows, or that live streaming thing that goes to theaters that I can't remember the name of all of a sudden.
Fathom.
But like that
Fathom events.
Fathom, yes. So like one screen dedicated to Fathom events at all times, like that. I think it will allow them. You're right, Brian, to get more experimental in really interesting ways, because they're not going to have these screens tied up with, again, releases they don't want.
And this is
they're all experimenting with renting out theaters too. I could see this becoming a thing where after the window is over, it's like, hey, watch Avengers Infinity War again with your friends. Rent out the theater, becoming a marketing thing.
Yeah, the theater across the street from where I live, I believe, I don't know if it's all of the theaters that they're renting out, but all I know is every Sunday morning I see like they're running church out of it. A church comes in, rents out, I believe, all of the theaters and simulcasts a service and all that stuff. I could totally see in the future, imagine tearing out all the seats and making it standing room only, having an MC who introduces esports events, who takes you into a moment, and it's imagine some kind of crossover between a concert and a live stand-up experience. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of nutty things that you would never consider up until you suddenly are looking at a lot of primo real estate with a giant screen and good sound.
The esports thing, I didn't even think of the esports thing, especially if like you could tie it into like leagues that have local divisions.
Oh, sure. Imagine you go.
Fathom Events already experiments with that a little bit. I could see that becoming way expanded.
Imagine the different theaters are your different associated home teams that you totally dig.
Yeah, it becomes like a team bar.
Exactly. Whatever theater you're in, that's your home team.
Also, I don't expect this to have a huge effect, but I wouldn't be shocked to see a few stories come out of this where something leaves the 17-day window because it didn't get its 50 million. It goes onto a streaming service and then gets a lot of buzz and goes back into the theaters because of the streaming, because everybody started watching it on streaming and people are like, oh, but I want to see that on the big screen. I again, don't think that'll be a common experience, but I wouldn't be shocked to see that happen a couple of times now that it can. 90 days was just too long for that to happen.
This is also the opportunity. Remember another one of my 9 not yet correct. I don't like the word wrong. Not yet correct predictions was the idea of multiple releases of director's cut at the same time concurrently with original theatrical cuts. So this is an opportunity. Imagine Avengers Endgame comes out, goes to VOD, and then comes back a few days later as the director's cut with 7 extra minutes or what have you.
All right. Listen, folks, there's a very short window right here for you to be able to say, oh, I was backing Cordkillers back when there was a 90-day window on theaters.
Yeah, guys, look, I don't want to make a big deal about it, but coronavirus is about to go away. And you will either be one of the people that says, I was backing them during the darkest period of the 21st century so far, or not. So if you want to get in and have those smug bragging rights, when somebody says, oh, I started watching and listening and supporting Cordkillers, and then you could say, oh yeah, pre or post COVID? And they'll say, well, after COVID, naturally. And you get to say, aha, I was there then. And the way you do that is go to patreon.com/Cordkillers. It's a way to inoculate yourself against the shame of not having been there first. Just $1 an episode. That's all we ask. You get your own RSS feed. You get everything all at once, including our super secret special After Talk segment where we talk about you. That's right, you. We've been gossiping about you personally behind your back. And the only way to find out more is to head on over to patreon.com/Cordkillers.
All right, let's talk about how to watch. All right, previously on Cordkillers, T-Mobile launched a streaming TV service with all the usual major networks on one plan, and then a bunch of channels that usually aren't available on these streaming services, like ones from Viacom and Discovery Networks, on a separate plan. That one was called T-Vision Vibe. Totally different plan. That one's $10 a month. Totally different DVR options. T-Mobile thought that was pretty smart of us. This is because Viacom and Discovery have been harder to reach deals with. One of the reasons being they insist that all their channels be on a basic subscription. You can't put them into tiers. T-Mobile thought they'd threaded that needle by offering 2 basic subscriptions. There was T-Vision Vibe with Discovery and Viacom, and there was other T-Vision, which had everything else. Well, Discovery wasn't having it. Neither was Viacom. So, after long discussions, T-Mobile has decided to give you a holiday deal. All 33 channels from T-Vision Vibe have been added to the regular Vision service at no extra charge. If you were subscribed to T-Vision Vibe for $10 a month, you now get shuttled over to the regular old T-Vision if you want to see them. To dispel some confusion, T-Mobile also had a third service called T-Vision Home. That one is older. It goes back to when they bought the company Layer 3. They would give you a piece of hardware from T-Mobile, and then you would stream channels over that. That service is now going away. So they're trying to reduce the confusion. That goes away December 30th. If you have been a subscriber to T-Vision Home before November 1st, you will get access to the new app-based T-Vision for free through June 30th. So Brian, we've essentially gone from 3 versions of T-Vision to now only 1, at least for the time being.
I mean, look, there's part of me that wants to rag on all parties here, especially T-Mobile, because there's nothing tastier than the schadenfreude of watching somebody get shot down trying to hit on someone. And in this case, I feel like the 4 of us are hanging out at the bar. One of us elbows the other and says, yo, man, I think T-Mobile's about to make a daring move. And T-Mobile definitely tries to land an epic play, and it definitely face plants and just sort of turns it into a crazy dance. And then and it goes back. I mean, which again, that's nobody will admit to it. We'll all pretend that we didn't see it. They'll pretend they didn't do it, but that's fine. That's the way the world of business works.
I mean, I think we should actually appreciate this moment. Honestly, this whole the T-Mobile thing, because I think this might be the last time we get to see like a mobile giant try and get into the a la carte TV space. I think this might be like, we should honor this moment. This is the end of the road, guys. Like, this is the series finale of, like, we're in a new age. Like,
is this the last Stream Fighter? Is that what you're saying?
I think so. The last Stream Fighter. Yes.
I mean, if there's one prediction that has always proven safe, is when somebody said, I think this is the last time a major telecom will do something dumb in the broadcast media space.
Well, I don't think that's true for sure, but you may be right, Merrill. This may be the last big new streaming service to jump in here. And to be clear, it's not just mobile. It's more like AT&T TV Now or Sling TV. It's mobile and app, and Roku and Apple TV.
But they were the last one, right? They're the last major telecom with a name to kind of get into this space, right? Like, everyone else was already.
Well, they bought the other one. So yeah, you've got Verizon, which does have a box, an Android box that they sell, and they have their Fios TV, but they don't have Verizon doesn't have a streaming TV over the top service like this.
But all the other ones are a transition over. Like, everyone else is like, for everyone else, it's like for example, if Verizon ever goes app based, which they probably will, because then they don't have to shell out the hardware. And I think so. That's not really what I'm really talking about. Is like this idea, like T-Mobile. T-Mobile wasn't in the TV space at all, and now they're, for the most part, and now they're in the TV space, which is why.
Right. That's true. That's true. I subscribed to T-Vision because I'm a T-Mobile subscriber, and that's the other part that we talked about when this launched. Is you right now have to be a T-Mobile subscriber to get it because they're sort of beta testing it in a way by only providing it to their own subscribers. It's okay. It's not nearly as good of an interface as YouTube TV or even AT&T TV now. It's a better interface than Sling or Hulu. Hulu's interface problems are because they're trying to shove it into the other Hulu. It's fine. This T-Vision service is fine. Now that you get all the Viacom and Discovery Networks channels under the same price as the main plan, it's a steal, but I doubt that's going to last for very long. That seems like a Band-Aid while T-Mobile scrambles to try to negotiate some agreement with Discovery and Viacom to do some version of what they were trying to do, which is offer 2 basic services.
Oh, 100%, because that's what YouTube did. YouTube launched at $30, and I had YouTube TV for like a year, and then they skyrocketed to $50. I was like, I'm out. Like, no.
This also might be a shrewd negotiating ploy on, I mean, not that T-Mobile intended for this to be how everything shook out, but it's a clever tactic to give somebody something and then ask how much they want to pay for it. Economists call it the endowment effect. Once you have something, you value it more. And in this case, when they do their negotiations, Discovery is going to find themselves in a fundamentally different position because they have the eyeballs and the exposure and all that stuff. And they're going to perceive that, I don't know if that strengthens. I don't know who that makes trouble for in this negotiation.
Yeah, I'm very curious about that too, because T-Mobile got Discovery to sign off on this before it launched. It wasn't until it launched that Discovery went, hold on, that doesn't look like what we talked about. So I'm curious what that disconnect is and how T-Mobile plans to bridge it for the time being. Because what we talked about this before, what T-Mobile thinks they did was launched YouTube TV and Philo. Right? They're like, look, we got 2 versions here, and you can choose which one. And Philo is the one that has Viacom and Discovery only on it, right? But I think what Discovery said was, the way you're marketing this doesn't make it look like YouTube TV and Philo.
Right. It looks an awful lot like an add-on.
A $10 add-on.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So maybe that's what they're going to do is like, fine, we'll just shove all these in for now while we figure out a marketing plan that suits you.
I would love to see like the thread of like, okay, you're right. These 2 names are very similar. So we're going to clear up any confusion. You can have awesome T-Mobile television is what we're going to rebrand the main service to. And then the stuff you're on will be called Poopy Pants TV. A totally different service. There'll be no confusion. Nobody will mistake this for an add-on.
Yeah, I don't think they'd go for that. I don't know. Seems unlikely. Let's talk about what to watch now in Under Surveillance.
It's all about location.
Under Surveillance.
Oh, HBO's coming for you, Brian Brushwood.
Oh, they're coming
HBO
for my
has
heart.
They've given a series order to the television adaptation of the video game The Last of Us. We knew it was in development. It's now got a series order. Craig Mazin and Carolyn Strauss, who executive produced Chernobyl, will executive produce this. And it is being written, as we've talked about before, as well as executive produced by Naughty Dog's Neil Druckmann, who created the video game or helped create it.
This is the part where, before everybody writes their emails to cordkillers@gmail.com, let me remind you that when you like a thing, nothing is lost if that thing attempts to be good in another format. And the off chance that somebody hits a home run twice in a row, we should celebrate that success because there are things that have jumped from one media to another that have been absolutely wonderful and defined fandom for a lot of people. 6 out of 7 seasons of Game of Thrones were exactly that. And so we should celebrate the opportunity, the at-bat, and we're not gonna boo them until they start swinging for the fences.
Right, Merrill?
Yep. I mean, I didn't play. I don't have. Look, I have no dog in this fight because I don't own any consoles. I don't own any consoles. I don't play video games. So
you don't have a heart.
I don't have a heart.
You don't live in a post-pandemic environment.
Correct. So it's
Yet.
I don't know how to feel yet because I have no frame of reference for the video games other than the things I always hear about the video games. That said, Chernobyl was a very huge success. Everyone seemed to really like it. So props to them. Again, I'm back in your play. Like they're at bat. Nothing else to really say until I get screeners. Like
I mean, also Chernobyl flavor wise. I mean, that's a fine pedigree to bring to The Last of Us.
It's a good team. Yeah, you got to say that. Now, speaking of folks getting upset at stuff when it changes, people were pretty upset when it was announced that the Peanuts holiday specials would not air on ABC in the United States, but instead only stream on Apple TV Plus. Apple TV Plus allowing them to stream for free, even if you weren't paying for it for a limited period of time, did not mollify people. So Apple agreed to let A Charlie Brown Thanksgiving air on PBS, the public broadcasting system in the U.S., this past Sunday, November 22nd, and A Charlie Brown Christmas will also air on PBS Sunday, December 13th. And of course, because they're on PBS, both of those showings were ad-free.
Now, when we say ad-free, PBS is not above thanking their sponsors, the people who make shows possible. For example, I would imagine that they're going to mention that this show is brought to you by Apple TV Plus.
You got to be that guy. You're going to be that guy.
Oh,
like,
no.
But it brought to you by a grant from Ralston Purina, right?
No.
Like,
but specifically what I'm saying is savvy move, because I'm assuming, if I'm wrong about this, then I'll walk it back. But I'm pretty sure we're going to see the letters Apple TV Plus in there somewhere. Associated with this broadcast.
I didn't watch it this past Sunday, so I don't know, but I wouldn't be shocked if there was a, thanks to an arrangement with Apple TV Plus, we present tonight's showing of
exactly.
Something like that certainly could be part of this, but there will not be any commercial interruptions.
Correct. And I'm not trying to boohoo on public radio or public broadcast institutions.
It will be no ads for zingers during it.
Oh, wow.
Now, is this a case where, because PBS does have PBS.com, they do have a digital arm.
Correct.
Will it be on that platform as well? This is only for the airing?
I haven't checked, but my guess would be no.
Yeah.
Because Apple wouldn't. They're like, we've got the digital rights, but we'll give the broadcast rights to somebody. And all we're talking about here is broadcast rights.
Right.
I'm gonna try to look up my PBS app. I bet I'm not even logged in though.
Well, here, while you're doing that, I'm gonna offer commentary on that Tom and Jerry trailer.
Oh my god!
Oh yeah, trailer's out for a live action Tom and Jerry movie. Live action Tom and Jerry movie where the mouse and cat are still cartoons but interact with real humans. Listed as coming soon. Okay. Don't know where or when.
You know what this reminded me of? I grew up with Dunstan Checks In. Did you guys ever see Dunstan Checks In the 90s?
No.
Do you know that movie? Okay, so Dunstan does. I don't remember how it gets to this point, but the premise is somehow a monkey invades a hotel that's run by dude from Seinfeld and his kids. And his kids befriend the monkey, and the monkey creates havoc across this 4-star hotel in, I think, New York City. This feels like that. Like it's I don't know. The trailer's so, I don't know what to make of this.
Look, as the producer of Three Fine Children, allow me to double down on the fact that no matter how good the actual movie is, all kids trailers somehow are bad. They somehow made WALL-E look bad. They somehow made Coco look bad. They somehow, like, all kids movie trailers look bad. So I ain't judging this. It's probably a fine idea. However, having said that, I found the trailer very unpleasant.
Yeah.
I think it's fair to say this trailer, if you are an adult, is not appealing in any way.
Yes.
Okay.
Nailed it. Yeah.
HBO, by the way, no Peanuts on the PBS app. HBO made the series premiere of The Flight Attendant, a television series starring Kaylee Cuoco, available to stream for free to everyone. The series will premiere Thursday, November 26th on HBO with 3 episodes. So it's coming to HBO Max with 3 episodes. It's a limited series based on a book about a flight attendant who wakes up in an unfamiliar bed in an unfamiliar hotel with a dead person and no idea what happened. It will still be broadcast on HBO, but those are coming to HBO Max, and everybody can watch the series premiere right now.
Right on.
Kaylee Cuoco, voice of Harley Quinn. Nothing.
When she's Harley Quinn, I'm super excited. Like when I have no,
See, this is what you just heard was simultaneous stereophonic cynicism between both me and Merrill. Like the pitch and the very thing that I just advised everybody against, abject cynicism and like booing before they even bat.
I wanna look. I am. It's not my kind of show. That's all I'm saying. It's just not my kind of show. That's why I have no opinion on it. But if the buzz is good, I'll check it out. It's just, again, not my kind of show, and I don't review regularly anymore, so I have no reason to need to watch it. But that doesn't mean don't watch it.
Hulu has reached a deal to get the distribution for sci-fi movie Boss Level in the United States, anyway, starring Frank Grillo, Naomi Watts, Mel Gibson, Will Sasso, Ken Jeong, Annabelle Wallace, Michelle Yeoh, and Selena Lowe. Grillo stars as a former Special Forces agent who is trapped in a time loop that repeats the day of his murder.
I mean, first of all, that log line is awesome. That lineup is amazing. What does it say about me as a bad person that all I can wonder is, how's Mel Gibson's apology tour going?
Okay, so I have lots to say on this, actually, because I asked Tom to put this into the rundown for me. Number one, the thing you didn't say was it's directed and written by Joe Carnahan, who also produced the movie with Frank Grillo under their production company. The thing that's fascinating here is Joe is the hardcore version of Christopher Nolan. He held a screening of the movie in February before the pandemic went down over in an ArcLight here, and he told everyone there, I wasn't there, but a lot of friends I know were, he told everyone there, this is not going to streaming. We are taking this to theaters. And this movie, they shot this thing in 2018. They kept bouncing it around. They were going to have theatrical release. They got screwed on distribution. The fact that they're finally caving and taking it to streaming, I'm like, if they got them to, like, they had to, because they also have international deals. They were basically waiting for a US release. So they were their backs were against the wall because they got to make the money back. But like, if they finally caved, that's a big blow to, like, for filmmakers that are sort of like, theaters are nothing. We got to stay in theaters. Like, this is a big deal to me. I think this is a big, sort of like a big line in the sand.
Just to toss it out there, do you think that this is a case where this is the end? I don't know. It's so weird to have so much good COVID-related news over the last couple of weeks, and to feel like we're kind of getting to the twilight before sunrise on this whole thing. And maybe this is less, the last whimpers of defeat, and more like, okay, look, we're calling a mulligan on this entire crop of movies. Let's just get them out before they're stale, and once we get past this.
I have thoughts on that. I think in May and June, even, no one still quite knew how this was playing out. We knew the vaccine would take a while, but there was still, especially in April and May, thoughts of like, yeah, but it'll start to recede, and then we can go back and we can reopen theaters, and maybe it'll be reduced capacity, but we can put movies in theaters. There was still legitimate discussions like that. Now we know this will not allow theaters in some places to open until there's vaccination. This is not going away fast, even with vaccination. We know that maybe April, May, June next year is when we'll really be able to count on people coming back to theaters. So there's no more of this guessing game of like, well, let's put Tenet in July. Maybe things will be opening up by then. I think people feel more secure, which is why we're seeing a lot of these cards drop of like, all right, fine. We kind of know what the timeline is now. We all feel like we pretty much agree on it. So let's put our Wonder Woman out. Let's come to our new windowing agreements. And I feel like that's why we're finally seeing all of these decisions made, because there's a little more certainty around.
Yep, I agree.
I also am very glad that we finally get a movie where the main character will live, die, and repeat.
I mean, look, I will never get tired of that plot. And if I do, then I'll wake up the following morning, forget that I ever did, and then love it again.
All right, we got a few other notes here. Amazon's going to release Coming to the number 2 America. That's the sequel starring Eddie Murphy on March 5th. Paramount was supposed to release it in theaters December 18th, but remember we talked about they pulled it and sold it to Amazon, so now it has a date. Season 2 of For All Mankind will premiere on Apple TV Plus February 19th. There's a teaser out now for the Doctor Who Christmas special featuring John Barrowman returning as Captain Jack Harkness. The special will also feature Daleks because the title of the special is Revolution of the Daleks, but we don't know the exact date yet. Sometimes they do it on the 25th, sometimes the 26th. They even did it on January 1st one year, so we're waiting on that. And Apple TV Plus reportedly picked up a Tetris movie starring Taron Egerton as Hank Rogers, a Dutch video game designer who first secured the rights to distribute Tetris on consoles. So not turning Tetris into a movie, but a movie about the people who made Tetris happen.
Yeah, you know what's funny is I was already thrilled when I thought it was about the actual documented story, but the moment you proposed Tetris as an action movie, I suddenly was even more interested. If you've ever watched any of the documentaries, I mean, right down to I think G4 had a good 30-minute one on there. The story of Tetris is extraordinary, and the amount of money that was made and how little of it went to the dude who invented it is extraordinary. I'm all in on this.
Yeah, I'm into the story. I want to point out quickly is like, are you guys surprised that Coming to America is not going to be a holiday release, but they're going to make it a March release? I thought they were going to get that. I thought they were buying that for the holidays.
Too crowded.
I am too, because obviously Paramount was ready to release it December 18th, and granted, theaters are a whole different situation. But if I'm Amazon, I'm like, oh, why don't we put this one out on the 25th,
or at least New Year's Day, like something,
yeah, right,
to
something like that, right? Yeah. I was a little surprised March too. Like not even, I don't know.
So random.
All right. What have we had our eyes on? Something we've been watching. Merrill, what have you been looking at?
Okay. Guys, we turned to chapter in TV and we're never going back. Thursday was the series finale of Supernatural. Now you think that maybe just be funny or, oh my God, it finally ended. This is a bigger deal than I think we're never going to get this again. This is the end of the long-running, unfranchised drama. It's over. There's no the idea of a
two predictions: the end of the long-running franchise drama, and the end of telecoms making big dumb decisions about content distribution.
We're gonna get into this. We're gonna get into this when we talk about Mandalorian during Spoilerin time. But you guys always kind of balk when you hear the words traditional TV.
Yes,
and what I think you're balking at is the distribution model.
One smooth move to first base. I don't balk.
You guys are like, what you're really balking at is the distribution model of traditional TV, which yes, I have plenty of qualms about. But regarding the idea of traditional TV is like, what a broadcast network drama is, right? The idea of a procedural. Those, I don't think you're necessarily balking at that. At least
I don't know. No, I probably have done some anti-procedural talk. Whether or not I would love to be educated and repaired in my misbegotten beliefs that the traditional 3-act structure and wedging in commercial breaks and all that stuff in general does not serve the overall quality of the program. But if your point is that Supernatural has nailed that formula and done it expertly for going on 15 years now?
15 years. But the thing is, props to them. I thought the series finale was fantastic. It ended in a really brilliant way, which is like the second to last episode was the end of the story. And then the last episode was really an epilogue of what happened to the Winchesters. But more importantly, it's like, this is it. Like there's only 2 dramas like this left: NCIS and Law and Order. The Law and Order that exists is a spin-off of the original Law and Order. No one knows when that's going to end. And then NCIS is franchised already into like 3 different shows. So this idea of I'm sorry. Even Grey's was also spun off as well. So this is really it. Like this idea of this thing that just goes on forever. I don't think they're going to exist anymore. And Supernatural was kind of like the end of the road, I think. And it's I think this is a big moment for TV that's kind of getting sort of ignored because of COVID and just the world we're in, because this was supposed to happen originally back in May.
Merrill, if I'm hearing you correctly, what you're saying is, yes, other people have said this kind of thing before, but this time it's different.
I've never made this claim before.
Yeah,
I've never made
other
the
people
claim.
have. Other people
They
have.
have, but this time I'm saying it, so I'm right.
Okay.
But anyway, the point is, I do think this is a big deal. And on top of that, props to the Supernatural team for wrapping the series up in a way that at least I found satisfying.
What about you, Tom? What are you watching?
I tried the new Animaniacs.
Oh, fingers crossed.
It was Animaniacs. I don't know how to say this without sounding either unduly praiseful or unduly punishing of it. It really felt like, oh, I'm watching Animaniacs in 2020. It's making modern jokes the way Animaniacs does. But I didn't feel like, oh my gosh, this is the best Animaniacs that has ever been made. I also wasn't down on it. I was like, oh, this is good, solid Animaniacs. It's exactly what I would expect.
So it's sort of like it's the McRib. It's back. Tastes exactly like the McRib.
That's a really good way of putting it, right?
Okay.
Like if you like the McRib, you're not disappointed, right? You're like, oh, they didn't change it. It's still the McRib. Great.
Okay, I will preface by saying when I was a kid, I was a Tiny Toons person. I was not an Animaniacs person. I will start there.
So you never liked the McRib to begin with. You were a chicken nuggets guy. Got it. Okay. So the opinion of a chicken nuggets guy about the McRib coming back is what?
It felt lazy and it felt cynical in a way that the original show did not. And there's just something about it that feels very off. And I can't exactly pinpoint it, but there's just something
haunted.
Yes, kind of.
I did not mean for that to land.
Like, kind of. There's something sort of like it was brought back from the dead, unchanged.
Right. Like clearly, this is. There's only one way to settle that, and this for me to give my opinion. I have to go watch Animaniacs with the kids, and I will offer a final ruling next week.
I would just like the jury to note that I didn't give my unsolicited opinion on Supernatural when Merrill talked about how amazing it was.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, which is why I'm going to offer. Okay, hold on. Look. Mediation isn't until after talk. I'm watching Community finally, which is weird because I'm a huge fan of Dan Harmon. I'm only finally just now watching it, getting the kids to watch it, and I'm only a season in, but man, are they having a good time calling out like I didn't know much about story writing when it comes to television or whatever. Man, is it fun to just watch them label and put a little sticky note on each one of the bits exactly as they're doing it. Turns out it's a good show. I hope something turns out for that guy.
Yeah, maybe they could even get a movie. Who knows? In the meantime, Mr. Castillo, what should we be on the lookout for?
Hey, we got an email from Sandy. Sandy wanted to tell us about this show on a channel I didn't even really know exists. Sandy writes, hello, I would like to recommend Orangutan Jungle School on the Smithsonian Channel, which is included if you subscribe to CBS All Access. It's a show about orphaned orangutans learning how to be wild in Borneo. There are 2 seasons out right now, and I binged them in 2 days. I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. Sandy from St. Louis. Thank you, Sandy. This is cool.
Baby orangutan.
Look at the little baby monkeys. This
Smithsonian Channel is interesting. They actually the big claim they had for a while was they were doing the 1920s colorized. They took 1920s footage and colorized it, and you could watch and I think they also did a World War I colorized thing. So that was kind of they became the place for about a year to be able to see colorized old timey footage and really get a sense of what that whole thing looked like back in the day.
Yeah. Thank you to Sandy for that. Yeah, that is on the Smithsonian Channel. If you have CBS All Access, apparently you have that. I would recommend looking on either of those websites to figure out how to do that. I know I loaded up smithsonianchannel.com, and the big button at the top says try CBS All Access. So hopefully that's an automatic thing. That's Orangutan Jungle School.
Just Smithsonian is a channel on cable, and it's owned by the same company that runs CBS All Access. So they take the shows from there and they put it on CBS All Access.
Gotcha. Okay. Well,
that's all there is. If Sandy hadn't said it's on the Smithsonian Channel and just left it out, it wouldn't have confused you at all. It's for Cordkillers, it's on CBS All Access.
There we go. Check it out. Orangutan Jungle School. If you've got something we should be on the lookout for, email us at our email address, cordkillers@gmail.com. Thank you.
And yes, we know orangutans aren't monkeys. We're just playing fast and loose. This is not a Animal Planet show. We apologize for the error. All right, Brian.
Yo.
It's the biggest shopping day in the United States this month.
Oh man, you're
month.
talking about like just around the corner is Black Friday. This is the time that everybody's got to get all their ducks in a row, do very carefully precise marketing schemes that are designed to make the maximum number of people happy at just the right time with just-in-time inventory. Yeah, we're not doing any of that over at scamstuff.com. It's been a very, very rough year. I think we mentioned it in After Talk, but it's like after catching COVID, after losing a bunch of money, and I had to put a dog down this year. And 3 weeks ago, I lost my brother. I've been grieving. And it's like when it came time to do that marketing dance, quite literally, if you go to scamstuff.com, everything just says screw it 2020. Our algorithm is not very sophisticated. It is quite simply, what is the lowest we've ever offered anything at on a holiday sale? Pick a number lower than that. And we're selling out of everything left and right. We figure everybody wants to just keep it simple this year. So that's what we're doing with the Screw It 2020 pricing over at scamstuff.com. We're going to keep it up long past Black Friday until we sell out of everything. Just don't get mad at us when we don't have something available.
Maybe the best.
That's the whole point.
Maybe the best marketing email I've ever received in my inbox ever. Like
that's kind. But I'll tell you what, if you want to spend some grown-up bucks and you want to get a better computer, make sure to support our friends over at doghousesystems.com/rogue. Use promo code ROGUE at checkout. You'll get an SSD. And most importantly, you'll be supporting the people who keep us alive. We're literally on life support due to their fantastic computers.
I have an IV connected to my doghouse system right now. Let's move on to the front lines.
Front lines.
Netflix says The Queen's Gambit has been watched by 62 million households, making it Netflix's most popular limited series ever, because it's got fewer than 10 episodes. The show ranked in its top 10 in 92 countries and is number 1 in 63 countries, including the UK, Argentina, Israel, and South Africa. Google searches for chess have doubled. Chess set inquiries are up 250% on eBay. And apparently the number of new players on chess.com has increased 5-fold since the release of Queen's Gambit.
Not gonna lie, one of those people, me. I definitely bought a new chessboard. And it's been an organic opportunity for me to bring up the subject of chess with other folks and find out that there are other people. Turns out I'm not the only one who loves chess. And so I've been playing with a bunch of people.
Oh, that's very cool. You know, we should start a mail game where I just send you a postcard with a move on it.
Do you know what I've done? I've been playing over the phone with a friend, and we both. You're supposed to do the E1 or whatever, but we say knights, bishops, pawn to 4, and all that stuff. Knights, bishops. That's not how it even goes. Whatever.
Oh, you're playing 3-dimensional chess. That's
yes,
much more
exactly. Conan O'Brien will end his late night talk show on TBS in June at the end of its 10th season. O'Brien has been doing a nightly talk show of some sort for 28 years. Conan will instead be making a weekly show for HBO Max. So I like, man, it's so, what a roller coaster, because it's like, number one, holy cow, it's been that long. Oh, we're losing Conan. Oh, wait, we're getting more Conan. Man, that's amazing. What a legacy.
I mean, I think I have to wonder, because, you know, Jon Stewart signed one of these deals recently for a weekly variety show as well. I have to wonder how many of these guys just looked at John Oliver and said, that's way easier. Like, let's just do that.
Yeah.
Oh, and I bet some numbers came out about John Oliver's viewership, or maybe some of his social impact. I don't know. I bet there's some aspect of the story there too. Because yeah, it does seem to be the new thing, is to be like, oh, nightly talk show, forget that. Nobody stays up and watches talk shows. Just make a weekly. Hey, that's a great idea. Brian, what if we took Cordkillers and just made it weekly?
Oh, you mean we'd have to give up our secret secondary program that's been daily
Yes.
every night at 11 Eastern?
Yep, I know. It's a big step for us, but we'll think about it. Tune into After Talk for more. Probably not. Another shoe dropped in the Amazon HBO Max deal. At first, it looked like HBO Max had compromised and would let Amazon continue to sell HBO, but not HBO Max, on the Prime Video Bumble. Bumble. That's what we thought it was.
On the dating app Bumble.
On the Prime Video bundle. As we pointed out last week, that would cause all kinds of confusion, but it sounds like, according to CNBC, Amazon will remove HBO from its Prime Video channel starting next year. So I guess the reason that wasn't announced with the deal is they need a little time to unwind something.
Yeah.
But on Fire TVs, there will just be HBO Max after a certain point next year.
The New Yorker's Kyle, is it Cheka, writes about the Netflix show Emily in Paris and says, quote, Netflix is pioneering a genre I've come to think of as ambient television. It's as ignorable as it is interesting, Cheka writes. Ambient denotes something that you don't have to pay attention to in order to enjoy, but which is still seductive enough to be compelling if you do choose to do so momentarily. One might, I'm trying to think of other things that are kind of ambient and just constantly flowing on a television in the background. It's
waiting room TV.
No, waterfall television. That's what I've been
network
calling
television, procedural, supernatural.
That's true.
Well, but some of this article certainly is a little highfalutin, you might say. But I think he did pinpoint something, which is we now have the latitude to make shows that are not meant to be paid attention to, for people who are on their phones while they watch TV or busy playing, I don't know, Hearthstone while they watch TV.
But that's,
a really intricate show is hard to pay attention to when you do that.
That's not a new concept. Like,
well,
literally.
No. But the labeling of it in the streaming space certainly is. But yes, I think that it's important to have intent to intentionally create material to fill the niche of running in out of the corner of your eye is fairly new in the streaming space because most of it has been full attention theater.
I'm with you, Merrill, though. It's a return to what broadcast television was, right? In the 60s,
yeah, like
70s,
literally
and 80s.
there are showrunners who used to complain that like whenever they would try and get really like hardcore, like you got to pay attention type of stories, the executives would push back and say, yeah, but people are folding their laundry while they're watching your show. And the showrunners would always push back and like, no, they're doing that for other shows, not for mine. It's like, no, they're doing it for yours too. Like sorry, that's just, they're all doing it.
Yeah. It's an interesting return to be like, oh, we don't have to make them non-complicated. So we made them complicated, but now we realize, oh, some people do like the uncomplicated. I think it's interesting they picked Emily in Paris as the example. Universal Electronics is launching its own Apple TV remote designed for those who need to control a cable TV set-top box and an Apple TV at the same time. Yes, this is an alternate to the Apple TV remote that everyone but me hates. It has the Apple TV mic button and a screen button, just like the Apple TV remote does, but it also includes a guide button and a mute button. It is a circular directional control, not the touch service. The remote, however, will only be sold to cable and satellite companies to offer to their customers.
Yeah, that last part's a curious twist on there, but I always like people being able to customize their experience. And finally, AMC's $9 a month AMC Plus service is now available as an add-on to the Roku channel that works on a Roku device, of course, or any Android or iOS mobile device.
Indeed. A lot of people don't realize AMC Plus is available without a cable prescription.
I like prescription. Yeah, you got to go to Dr. Telecom, who will never make a mistake again, I'm told.
I was so excited because everyone kept talking about this new show, Gangs of London. I wanted to go watch, and I found out it was only on AMC Plus. I was like, well, I guess I'm waiting 6 months for that to drop to streaming.
Yeah, $9 a month now on a Roku device. Don't even need your prescription from your doctor to watch it. Let's get to the dispatches from the front. Rob White, aka Aussie Rob, in chat writes, hey, Brian, Tom, Bryce, and guest. Just a quick note to follow up on your discussion of Auntie Donna's Big Ol' House of Fun. We hope you liked season 1. A few years ago, Mark and Broden from Auntie Donna were part of a short comedy fantasy TV series called Wizards of Aus, A-U-S. It follows a high fantasy wizard who says F it and tries to retire to the suburbs of Melbourne, Australia. Unfortunately, he finds he can't leave the world of magic behind. I love the series, and I think you guys would too. All 6 12-minute episodes have been put up on YouTube by the creators to watch for free, along with a lot of behind-the-scenes footage and other content.
That is awesome. I will definitely check that out. Also, we had the Auntie Donna boys on Night Attack, if you want to check that out, last Tuesday over at nightattack.tv. And Norm writes in also about Auntie Donna, saying, I had no clue about these Auntie Donna folks when you guys, when the first episode started, and I didn't know how to react. It was nuts. So enjoyable. I even got my wife to watch, though she knows I've been supporting you guys for years and wonders why the money isn't in the budget. But that's another story. And we were laughing our asses off. We could say that. And it's so short. 6 episodes of only 20 minutes. Why can't more TV be quick and enjoyable? Good work, guys. Yeah, man, if you haven't seen it, double down on last week's recommendation of Auntie Donna's Big Old House of Fun, a Netflix original.
Yes, indeed.
I've watched the series 3 times in full.
It's great.
It is so good. It's great. Everything's a drum. It is. But actually, one of my favorite sketches is the one in the Halloween episode when they're trying to be super quiet to get midnight snacks.
Yeah.
And it's
The
when
ASMR
Broden.
one.
It's when Broden, who's been eating my charging, and then they're freaking out. And he goes, "Lucky for you, she's single." And then he does the thing, and he goes,
Okay, we're not going to do the thing where we just describe a sketch show that we saw
it's
once.
great. It's
In fact,
great.
hey, where can people see more of your stuff, Merrill Barr?
Twitter.com/Merrill Barr, where I am constantly threatening to not make a Substack because no one will subscribe to it, and then I might end up just making a Substack. We'll find out. Ongoing adventure over at Twitter.com/Merrill Barr, MERILLBAR. Also,
that's true. He hasn't said any of the forbidden Merrill words.
Oh, that's right.
I've effing
all right. Yep.
I did not.
Good job.
Our website is Cordkillers.com. Our email address is Cordkillers@gmail.com. We're live on Twitch.tv/Night Attack, which is also carried on DiamondClub.tv Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. Hurry, play the music!
Hey, Tom Merritt.
Yes, Brian Brushwood.
Know who I love even more than my own children?
Your other children?
No, not my wife. I know what you're saying. I love our $5 patrons. These are the people that keep us loud, live, and independent. Thank you so much, $5 patrons.
You know what? I love them more than not life itself, because then I'd be dead and I couldn't appreciate them, but really, really, really close. And I'm so thankful that they are here to make this show happen.
Thank you so much to all of our $5 a month patrons. You guys are wizards. You're champions.
Thank you, everyone.
You're heroes.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.